on. Why is it? I didn't mute it. That's so weird.
Yeah, Camlink 4
Has to.
audio input. No. More time. It's Camlink 4K.
Okay, do something for me. Do something for me. Go in the.
Check 1, 2. Did we fix this? Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Bada bum bum bum. Yay! Yay! Yep, very long circuitous route. Yep, something got muted, but we're finally back. Apologies. I'm sorry. No, that's a drag and frustrating. Thank you for your patience. Little drummer boy. Okay. By the way, I just found a meme that just made me laugh. So great. Killer. It's a Jesuit meme. I hope you can see this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find it and put it right in here. If I can. This killed me. Oh, dang. Maybe it was in Gab. So funny. Gab. Excuse me. Yeah, no way. Whatever. I'll I would show it to you, but it's a photo of the meme, and it's not going to work as well. I could just describe it to you. Have you seen the memes where there's two different kinds of dog? One is like a large kind of courageous husky, and the other one is like a little wimpy dog, like a corgi. And there's the two Jesuits. Yeah, just comparing yesterday to today, the Jesuits of old from the Jesuits under Francis. And the big one is saying, he's got a little rosary on his paw, on his right paw. I'm going to proselytize to an entire nation of heathens at risk to my own life so that they might be saved from the fires of hell. Okay, there's that one. Then the little Jesuit corgi, the frightened little one with the rainbow flag. He's saying, God is a woman and hell isn't real. Also, please stop praying in Latin. It scares me. It's just too good. We have to make fun of our enemies. We have to mock them. Risus et bellum. Laughter and war. Oh, like maybe once spotting one lie, or a way to spot lies is to share things that are available because of the digital age and the invention of the modem. If we did not have the internet, we would not be able to see Father Jerry Kaywell doing his super gay modernist Mr. Rogers Liberace masses in Punta Gorda, Florida, which you can't parody. David L. Gray did a Mass Nightmare breakdown of how many liturgical abuses there are in that Mass. Wowza. Wow. With the 3 in-breaths. I did a little sample for you in the coffin report that dropped today. So there it is. All right. Too good. Okay, guys, thank you. So we're back in action. I was saying in my by the way, let me say hello by names. Keith Kentley's spouse, Deidre, Michael, Lorraine, Gilles, Brock, C, that would be CP Grove, Joe, Lincoln, Anne. Hey, Anne. Hello, all. Anne Kubala. Yes. Hello, Deacon Patrick. Yes. Yeah, I wanted to be more transparent. I'm one body part at a time. I'm just transparent. Yeah, I think that Trudeau's probably in Montreal. I don't think he's in Ottawa. I think his handlers would not let him anywhere near those 50,000 plus pissed off truckers. That's my take. I don't think he's in Ottawa. He's been estranged from his wife, who thinks she's Evita, for about 2 years now. It's an open secret. Their marriage is kaput. And I think the fact that he's been accused of raping, which is to say raping a minor in the high school he taught at in British Columbia. Maybe she knew about that. I don't know. But I don't expect any sign of poor Justin. He was exposed to the evil Rona and get negative, positive. But you still have to isolate for 5 days, according to the nonsense rules. So perfect timing for him to hide in his little safe space quinoa salad bunker away from we the people. Basically, here comes everybody. And remember, the truckers in this convoy, they don't represent the trucking industry only. They represent ordinary Canadians who are fed up. Let me ditch this bound, sorry. Fed up with the tyranny and the nonsense rules and the all the attacks on freedom. And so this is a really naked clash between what's really going on. It's not about your health. It's not about Corona. It's about who gets to run the country. Are the oligarchs afraid of the people, or are the people afraid of the oligarchs? Because in a democracy, I think this is a quote from Thomas Jefferson, if the people are afraid of the government, it's tyranny. If the government are afraid of the people, that's democracy. That is freedom. And we all know how the balance of power is running at this point. So I'm waiting to hear back from one of the founders. Her name is Bridget Breton, I think her name is. She's a trucker, long haul trucker from out west. She's one of the main organizers. And I was on the podcast up in Canada called the Iron Will podcast. The guy's name's Will Dove, really good guy from Calgary. And so Will connected me with this founder. So I hope to connect with her on the road. That would be so fun. This is huge, all across the country, from Windsor heading north, from Newfoundland heading west, and from BC heading east, all converging around the same day. They're going for the 29th. Now, some of them got there early, and they're already making awesome noise in Ottawa. And the CBC don't know what to do. The mainstream media organs are in panic mode. They have to call them racist, white nationalists, blah, 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 all the usual Alinskyite shame terms. Some of them are black truckers, Indian, Sikh truckers that are fed up. They can't stand the guy. So just good luck. Good luck calling dark-skinned truckers racist there, Baby Doc Trudeau. It's a beautiful thing to see. So we should be grateful for the internet. The connectivity, the fact that we can go around the official organs of nonsense and propaganda is a great blessing. Even inside the Catholic Church, in the Coffin Report, I talked about, I think it was last week, the CatholicFactChecking.com, Alatia, our Sunday Visitor. They denied that George Soros is paying them, but I think it was either Michael Hitchborn or someone at LifeSide News did some digging, and the Open Society Foundation is feeding them a lot of money to fact check. So this is the Church of Francis. I'm excited about all this deep dive into what else they're lying about, and I feel like the Lord is putting all this in front of me for a reason. I'm reading Anatoly Golitsyn's book, New Lies for Old. He's a KGB infiltrator who converted to the West. I learned so much from G. Edward Griffin about Yuri Bezmenov, another KGB defector. I don't know if you've seen From 9/11 to JFK, Everything's a Rich Man's Trick by Francis Connolly. I will send that right here to you. I think he's about 95% right on. From JFK to 9/11, everything is a rich man's trick. This is, like many great things, this is a long thing. You can watch it in chunks and come to your own conclusions and use your own discernment. But that's a very interesting thing. And I recommend that you check it out. Francis Connolly's Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. It'll really blow your mind. Yeah. Oh, Trudeau issued a statement in favor of the truckers? It makes me so mad. He's like Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson would chain himself to an abortion clinic to stay in office. Boris Johnson would beat the crap out of his own NHS doctor to stay in office. For Justin to give a positive statement about the truckers is hilarious. And they're going to find it even funnier than I do because they know what that is. It's Justin basically giving them the middle finger while covering his own white, sorry, battissimo. Crazy. Yeah, Deidre, Satan's overplaying his hand. Not sure if you saw the clip, Barry Weiss clip from Bill Maher's show from last Friday. Even neurotic leftists are starting to see the light. Yeah, Barry Weiss has done some good interviews. She keeps, who was it? Who was she on? Some lefty show. I don't think it was Bill Maher, but did a good job. Oh, O'Toole. I'm waiting for Baby Doc Trudeau to say some things. Oh, okay. Yes. Interesting. They're all heading into the parliamentary truck stop. Very, very good. Oh, Aaron O'Toole is just a puffball. He's worse than Trudeau. He's Trudeau as a chubby, bald guy without the charisma hair. No respect for him at all. He has no chance. No chance whatsoever. Yep, the devil hates to be mocked. Yes, indeed. Civis hilarium parabellum ad Jesuiti. Yes, Deacon Patrick, absolutely. Deacon, your observations in the grappling with transgender candidates in the seminary was the best part of it. You're the only person who made sense in that piece, as I mentioned in the Coffin Report. Alexa, play Neil Young on Spotify. Alexa, I'm sorry, I can't do that, but would you like to hear the Joe Rogan Experience instead? Oh, I had so much fun with Neil Young. When saw the fade away the horse of no name, until that's on that he's like a dentist drill in my head. Ugh. Imagine being so woke that you cancel yourself. There's a rumor that his slightly unbalanced, to be charitable, wife Daryl Hannah. You know, he married Daryl Hannah from Splash. The rumor is that she actually wrote that Spotify thing and it got quickly taken down. But he doesn't have a choice but to triple down on it. The average age, what is it? Average age of Neil Young, 75. Average age of Joe Rogan viewers, 25. And Spotify, to their credit, they didn't even bother mentioning it. They just went, okay, Neil, you didn't own your rights to your own stuff anyway, so best of luck. True, he may have made up the Rona thing. Yeah, it could be. I mean, if you have a negative test for the Rona, it means you don't have it, right? Is it going to magically build in your system 5 days later? Not 4, not 6? There it is. Yes, I like the meme from 5 minutes ago, Michael. Very good. Gilles, I don't know what the parliamentary truck stop is, unless that's a new thing. Yep. Yeah, Deirdre, it's exciting. Exciting. Yeah, Michael, which website? Do you mean in the forums in the coffinnation.com? Let me know. The JFK to 9/11. I think you'll find it very interesting. I know people who know Pierre Poilievre Lincoln. He speaks French very well. He's on Trudeau like a wet sock. I don't know about his national chances. I don't know if he has aspirations to be prime minister. I'm not sure. There's one guy that I would go door to door for, and that is Richard de Carry. Richard de Carry is a Québécois, actual practicing Catholic, Holy Spirit-led, on fire, conservative union.ca. He's a friend of mine by God's grace. I think this is his website. He's really waiting for a movement to find him. He doesn't want to be out in front of it. He managed to climb to the top of the candidate rung for the CPC, the Canadian Progressive Conservative Party, whatever they're called now. And he was very popular until he went on the CBC and was asked about gay marriage, and he said, "Yeah, it doesn't exist. Marriage is between man and woman." And then within a day, boom, dropped from the roster. Mysterious reasons. No one can figure out why. Monsieur de Carry was dropped as a candidate. Mystery. So that was good to see, and he's been swinging at the police state tactics in Quebec as well. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, Yuri Bezmenov. I don't know, Gina, if he wrote that or not. He did an interview with our friend G. Edward Griffin, and I don't remember him saying that. Yes, under a different name. Thomas Schumann was the name he used in Canada. Yes, so very good. I'm going to send you the link. Yep, very right. Thomas Schumann is the author. And here it is. You don't have to buy through Amazon. Pardon me, if you find it cheaper, by all means, get it cheaper. Okay. I remember the media in special 1 hour program stalking the of nuclear war during the 1980s. Propaganda shameless too. Yep. Yeah, his meanings are overpaid for sure. Yeah, just look up Canadian trucker story. Look up, let me see, Rebel News. True North. Truckers. That'll get you there. Yeah, RFK's marriage is in trouble, Deirdre. I don't know him personally. I've interviewed him 3 times, so we're not bosom friends. I've been in the same room with him for an hour and a half meeting, and this is not the first time that he's done this. She also required vaccine proof at a party they had before Christmas. Very, very disrespectful, and a kind of a light on, let's say, the tensions that obviously exist there. I was appalled at her attack on her own husband. Yeah, not good. Hope they work this out. On the other hand, a rabbi responded to this. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why you're not allowed to bring up Anne Frank or the Holocaust to compare it to present evils. Now here's another one. But all the usual suspects came out to attack him, and he did the perp walk super high octane apology. Now let me find the defense that someone gave him. Just today, I think. This is interesting. Speaking of media lies. Taking its good old time. So the rabbi, it's coming up slowly. Interesting. I don't see it now. Whoops. Let me get this to you because it's pretty interesting. Oh, come on now. Come. So he apologizes, and now I can't find the essay. Maybe you guys can find it before I do. Even in Hitler's Germany, you could hide, he said. That was the offensive remark, apparently. He may have taken it down. Was Robert F. Kennedy wrong, is what it was called. Not worth it to keep doing this. But anyway, a rabbi wrote an essay defending him. And I thought, well, why did you apologize? If you're going to put a rabbi defending your comments about the Holocaust and Frank and comparing it to the Fauci tyranny of today, does that mean you're not sorry? Does that kind of offset your apology because you've brought in a rabbi to defend you? No, I think he's on both sides of his own fence there. So, that is that. Oh, so thank you for Jill. 2022, the official Freedom Canada Convoy channel on Telegram. You should all be on Telegram, by the way. Good spot to be. A lot of up-to-date, cutting-edge stuffs. Leftists gonna leave husbands, yeah. Yeah, so spotting media lies. Ask where the money flow is. I'm sure you've seen the brought to you by Pfizer. This is brilliant. I actually just thought of this now. Brought to you by Pfizer. It's a compilation. Pretty astounding. Let's get it up and out. Here it is. Get a load of this. This is not a joke. So this is one way that you can tell, spot a lie, is who sponsors your shtick? Who writes the checks that enable you to do what you're doing? Because the piper, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. And Pfizer, this little thing brought to you by Pfizer is pretty scary. Another thing to do is to watch a news outlet over time to see what their bias is. Then you can kind of predict what the take that they're going to have on a certain event. New York Times is one of the worst offenders. They have not changed at all since the early 60s. They've been at the forefront of liberalizing and de-democratizing and communizing American public life. They are despicable leftists. They lie all day for a living. All the alphabet soup TV networks, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, Rush Limbaugh used to call it PMSNBC. Yes, thank you. I got my Piper tune call metaphor mixed up there. In the case of Francis of Rome, you don't really need media lies. He just needs a camera on him. You just spot him. You don't need to spot the go-between. We all know what Austin Ivory's about. We all know what Cindy Wooden of Catholic News Agency, I think she also writes for the Associated Press. Hannah Brockhouse, I think her name is, another one. Lori Goodstein is the religion reporter from New York Times, who's a complete ignoramus. If Lori Goodstein didn't know what an RBI was, the New York Times probably wouldn't send her to cover Mets games. But she knows nothing about how the Catholic Church is run, how Catholicism works, and yet she makes all kinds of errors of fact in her reporting. So over time, you get to see what tribe, what ilk these people are coming from and what agenda they want to sell. And notice the Alinskyite pattern of isolating and shaming and then attacking. You have to shame and isolate and attack. So in the lead up to the trucker convoy, just to use that as another example, Trudeau had to brand all unvaccinated Canadians as racists, white supremacists, sexists, all the ists, right? To shame them, to force them by sheer peer pressure into getting the death jab. And that's a ground softening move, so that when the truckers fought back, he's already accustomed the country to see people who are unvaxxed as the enemy, as a health danger, as an actual existential threat. And then he can just call them whatever he wants as a way to neutralize their voice. And the United Truckers Union up in Canada, they distanced themselves from it, which is hilarious. It's so obvious that they're a left-wing government sock puppet. Don't represent the true interests and agenda and worldview of actual truckers. Michael Voris has been on this recently, highlighting Donahue, Latia, our Sunday visitor. Massaging stories. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've interviewed Donahue. He's just became kind of a blowhard. He's just a company man, makes a ton of money from sending out weekly faxes at the Catholic League for Civil Rights. Here's my little boy. Deirdre says, so many are sad cat ladies or soy boys. Yes. Gavin always said to Google the writer of an article and check the background. Yep. I was just watching Gavin's show from a couple of days ago, I think it was, called Did Oswald Patton Murder His Wife? I've interviewed that guy twice. I'd like to get him back on the show. Yeah. There it is, brought to you by Pfizer. Check that out. Oh, C.C. Stone Christopherson can't find the link, the feed on Telegram, Jill. Did you get it right there? Anyway. Yeah, I think everything's cool. Also, synodality. Synodality is another, it's a kind of a weasel word. It's a made-up word, and it's code for Protestantism. Synodality is another word for Protestantism. So whenever you see it appear in a sentence, just swap out Protestantism for synodality, and it suddenly becomes clear. So when Pope Francis, as he did today, tweeted that tribunals and Roman Rota people, when they're adjudicating on divorce and annulments, you have to be gentle and merciful with a synodal attitude, a Protestant attitude, a loophole attitude, a mushy modernist, get away with maximal kind of attitude. That's what synodality means. It means decentralization of teaching authority. If you listen to any German bishop talk about synodality, it's the spirit of Luther. We're the church in Germany. You're the Church of Rome. Even people who say the Church of Rome, you know that they're Protestant. Or Orthodox, I suppose. Capital O, Orthodox. Yeah, if you can maybe find the exact Telegram channel link, Gilles, that would be great. There we go. Yeah, Matt Walsh did a good job on, I've had my clashes with Matt Walsh. Matt can be very sharp-elbowed and extreme at times, but he did a very good job in what was essentially a gang-up. Dr. Phil is probably basically in the corner of Matt Walsh on this, but he set him up against two weird-looking dudes that they were lost. All Matt had to do is ask the question, what to you is a woman? They had they couldn't know. There was nowhere for them to go. So that was a good takeaway. And God bless him. He did a good job. Oh, good. Yeah, Tucker needs to be on this. That'll help. I have friends in Halifax that were up at 7 to get to Enfield, which is about an hour outside Halifax. They were up at 6:30 to drive there for 7 to do the overpass honk. He said it was jammed. He showed me the footage. Think of it. Early morning, ordinary Canadians who aren't truckers getting up to assemble on highway overpasses to show their love and honk and set off fireworks all across the country. This is not a small fringe group of extremists. This is average Canadians. That's who's doing this. This is we, the Canadian people. And it's a wonder to behold. A little shocking that it took 2 years, but hey, better than 3 or 4, I say. Okay. In the world of Twitter, so many trads despise Church militant Michael Voice and Christine Niles now. Why? Because they're all about exposing the bad people in the church. No, I think it's trads don't like Michael and Christine, among other reasons, because they went after their special community, the SSPX. Or the other special community of some trads. I happen to be a fan of this tribe. That's the FSSP, and they don't like that Christine went after. It's a long story. It gets into a big sidebar. Frankly, super dramatic distraction. I don't like when Catholics are dead set against other Catholics, because we're all supposed to be rowing in the same direction. But church militant are sort of, you could say, liturgical blind or colorblind. They're not that interested in the tribal identity or the bona fides or the background reputation for traditionalism and piety. They just want to expose pervs, including trad pervs, and God bless them. Yeah, Germany's a mess, Michael. Totally true. Yep, very creepy. Yeah, synodality is on my list of words I'd be happy never to hear again. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. Like we're supposed to pretend we've been hearing this word our whole lives. It's a made-up word. The church has always had synods, but a synod on synodality? All right. Yeah, the overpass waivers. It's some of the compilation videos that are out now. They are moving. It's beautiful to see. Deidre asks, how can German Catholics get out of the mess they're in when the government and the church are so closely linked? Yeah, I was on with E. Michael Jones on his channel talking about synodality and why Germany. Well, this goes back to before World War II. That was very interesting. Carl wonders if Pope Francis and most of the cardinals and bishops now believe in the false doctrine of faith and grace alone. I don't even know. I don't know what Pope Francis believes. I have no idea what that man believes. I don't even know if he qualifies as a Christian. I don't. He said so many crazy, kooky things about Catholic doctrine that it's all a big what if. Okay. So I think a really disturbing story is this Catholic fact checkers. And are they that desperate for cash that they're taking money from Soros to go against the actual magisterial teaching of the church on using tainted by abortion, either in testing or manufacturing vaccines? The vaccine issue came up in my recent interview with Bishop Athanasius Schneider, and he brought this up in his presentation at restoretheculture.com, Truth Over Fear, and also Father Michael Copenhagen. And the way they lay it out is so simple and clean. You can't profit from something downstream or that happens after, consequent to the torture and murder of a little girl. You can't benefit from it, even if the material used in the vaccine was tested on a little girl who was tortured and murdered to extract her kidney cells, say, or her cells from her lungs. You can't vivisect a corpse. It's not going to work. It has to be a living body, which means a live, torturous murder. We can't participate. I know Catholic apostolates are confused about this. I know there's an autistic priest named Father Matthew Schneider, whose religious order was founded by a bigamous, drug addict, homosexual demon, Father Marcel Maciel. I think he was probably damaged, injured by a vaccine. He's very fixated on defending vaccines at all costs, and I don't know. He's always trying to raise money. That's people say, "Oh, they're the new Jesuits." Well, no, they're just the legionaries. And what's their charism? Every religious order that's legitimate has a charism, and the Legionaries of Christ charism, as far as I can see, to this day, is fundraising, and he does a lot of it. So, back up to, okay, so Deacon Patrick, synodality produces synodalalia in the way that corporophagia produces corporalalia. Yes, I think so. I just did a video that's being edited now on the 7 pieces of evidence that Francis is an anti-pope and that the real pope is Benedict XVI. Yes, I go there. And I mention one of the bits of evidence at the end is that if you are buying the media coverage from conservative establishment Catholic media, like Alatea, that are part of this Catholic fact-checking, like OSV, same thing, like the National Catholic Register, like EWTN, all of them, Ignatius Press, that banned me, Catholic World Report, the whole lot of them, the raft of conservative establishment Catholic media are allergic to thinking that maybe Benedict's abdication was strange, incomplete, and therefore not valid. And maybe Francis is our latest anti-pope. We've had 30-plus anti-popes in history. We're going to get through this. But if you don't think that it's even possible that Francis is an anti-pope, then you have to own him. And one of the things you have to own and defend and domesticate is his use of the phrase corporophagia and corporophilia, the sexual attraction to shit or the delight in eating it. He used that in an awful interview a couple years ago. What kind of pope would think that? Is this the Pope of our Lord Jesus Christ, the God-man, the greatest teacher in human history? Divorced and remarried Catholics being civilly divorced, receiving Holy Communion? Is that Christ's will for his church? Would Christ even permit this over 8 years? How about the Abu Dhabi document, where Francis says that, along with the Al-Azhar Grand Imam of Egypt, that God wills the diversity of religions? He tried to explain that he meant permissive will to Bishop Schneider, but then he backtracked on that, and so the document has never been clarified, and it exists as it is on Vatican.va without the clarification that he gave to Bishop Schneider. So you have to own it, and best of luck, because the evidence is quite strong that something terrible happened, either with the abdication, which I think the evidence is strong for that, or the other bookend to this are the canonical crimes of the St. Gallen Mafia in the lead up to and in the conclave itself, and they're violating the norms of. Let me get this to you. Start with number 78 of this document. Universi Dominici Gregis. This is the highest level of papal document authority-wise. And this is an apostolic constitution by St. John Paul II that was released in 1996. And the behavior, the behavior bragged about by the St. Gallen Mafia cardinals was explicitly condemned with the penalty of late sententiae, automatic excommunication. Now, this is something that Catholic media, they just don't want to deal with it. They want to just give it what I call the barge pole treatment. There's a barge coming in close to the dock, so you get your barge pole like Tom Sawyer. You just keep that barge away from the dock. Yeah, pagan altar. Yep, you have to defend the Pachamama fertility pagan idol demon. And they bowed down, by the way. They bowed down to this while Francis the Merciful is sitting there staring at them like a cow looking at a new gate. Definitely worship. Excuse me. Deidre says, yeah, what is it with so much of the church that they seem consumed with greed? It seems they'll do anything to maintain their funding. Because ordinary Catholics have stopped giving. There's a generosity dearth in the church. And so they're looking for outside funding, outside sources. Makes sense. Father Matthew Schneider says, and must spend his entire day. Yeah, he doesn't have a parish. He's just on Twitter fighting with people, defending the death jab. Sad. Now, God forbid that Father Schneider is injured or worse by these vax. No one is going to say, he got vaxxed. It killed him. It's another media lie. Renee Collars. Question, Patrick, what would the three top comments a person can make at a local parish meeting on synodality? I guess they're going to take these comments to our bishop, supposedly. Renee, this is probably going to sound harsh. I hope not. My honest recommendation is that you stay away. Don't go. Don't go. I can't justify recommending to any Catholic they go to any of these synodality meetings. They're worse than a waste of time. Because what gets employed at these listening sessions on synodality is called the Delphi technique or the Delphi method. Let me quickly find you a terrific summary of the Delphi by the late, great Rosa Corey. Rosa was one of the Truth Over Fear speakers, and she did one of her last things on this earth was the Greatest Reset documentary, which is we're wrapping up the last interview and the editing, and I've learned a lot from her. May she rest in peace. Delphi, here it is. She explains what it is. It's all part of Agenda 21. Her website was Democrats United Against, Democrats against UN agenda. Okay, this is on her website. Let me look for the site here, because this is really interesting. She phrases it a lot more clearly than I do. Delphi, let's get it. Delphi tactics by the planners. Okay, the classic Delphic technique has you come into a room where you're with a large group and you're either seated in an auditorium or you'll be broken into small groups at tables. This is what they do, small groups at tables. This gives you access to all the participants, at least for a while you're able to voice your objections to the entire body. Doesn't that sound great? The new tactic being used by planners is the open house. The open house tactic invites the public to drop in at one of the several locations at different dates. There will be a planner on duty to explain the plan and solicit the public's input. These open sessions are usually about 2 hours long. There's often an opportunity for, an informational video shown, no opportunity for interaction between members of the public. So that's one thing that they do. So bishops especially, and the one that I have the most experience with is Bishop Bob McElroy, a big cheerleader for Father James Martin. That's all I'm going to say. He's the sitting bishop of San Diego. And he holds these listening sessions for local synodal communion, and this is going to ramp up as we get closer to the synod on synodality in Rome. Small groups, every table has a Delphic infiltrator. So they're on the side of the bishop. They're diocesan bots, they're employees of the diocese or the parish. They're all SJW in their mindset. And you get a name tag, and everyone's super friendly. And if you're a super tradition-minded Orthodox evangelical Catholic and you think this is all stupid and evil, they're going to thank you for being so honest. Like, this is the church at its best. We can come together, and it's all written down. It's all put into a note. They may even show you the final copy of what's going to go to the bishop. Here's the thing. It's all window dressing. All the decisions are made before the Delphi technique meetings begin. It's the appearance of input and the reality of shutdown, while you walk away feeling thanked and honored and appreciated. So I can't recommend it, but I will give you Rosa's website. May she rest in peace. Democrats against UN Agenda 21. This is another example of why this evil that we're facing has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, traditionalist, conservative, liberal. It's way upstream from that. So, Renee, I hope that's a help. Lorraine says, hate to say it, but I think Francis is on a vendetta against the church and especially the papacy. Well, that does make sense. Francis Bergoglio wants whatever he wants. Papal idolaters drool in his words. Yeah, look at Austin Ivory or Massimo, what's his name? Massimo, he's a ultra-liberal Villanova in PA professor. Max Beans, his name is in English, Max Beans. Austin Ivory, the sycophantic biographer of Pope Francis, wrote 2 books about him. Yes, it's just job security. Quite a few people, says Carl, at my parish believe Benedict XVI was forced out. That's what Bishop Rene Henry Gracida believes, that he was criminally forced out, that they threatened either family members or people he knew and loved. Because I personally believe that Benedict is a wise and holy man. I think he would have chosen martyrdom for our Lord and the church. I do. But we're up against people who will kill like pets, will go after loved ones. This is asymmetrical warfare. It's something that you'll notice over time with these people. Yeah, based parish. Oh, by the way, speaking of spotting media, do I have it here? Media lies. Matt Briggs, Dr. William M. Briggs, has written a book that I've talked about, and I hope to interview him next week. for an upcoming a show soon in the future. It's called Everything You Believe is Wrong. And it is how to spot fallacies. What's an ad hominem fallacy? What is the propter hoc fallacy? What is a red herring? How do you spot those? Great guy. And he explains, oh, little dog. That's a sound effect that I have. It's called the Scout sound effect. He explains that he's not conservative. He's based. And he explains what based is in a hilarious paragraph. So that's going to be great. History will bear out the truth eventually in France's status, but what do we do until then? Watch my video, Joe. I have some suggestions. It's not out yet. It'll be out soon. Stay close to our Lord in prayer. Realize that he may be power napping in the boat. Keep regular with your prayer. The sacraments are basically nuclear bomb proof. Even if your pastor or your priest, whoever the ordinary minister of the sacrament is a child molesting, mass murdering, genocidal maniac, if he's a validly ordained priest, we're not Donatists. We believe that the Eucharist is confected and absolution is administered, independent of the holiness of the minister. Thank God. Because if that weren't so, no one would be good enough. So base. It's a downward spiral leading to not one more penny for the bishops. Yeah, that's what's got to happen. That definitely reveals how money-driven these guys are. Yeah, insightful to bring up that method. It's a mind control, forced consensus method. Yeah, it's not even, the consensus itself is the myth. There's no real consensus. It's pre-planned, pre-executed agenda with the participation of naive people who feel like they're shaping that agenda when they're just observers to it. Yeah, listening sessions. The Pachamama was so scandalous. God in his name has been mocked for decades. Yep. How long, oh Lord, how long? Hey, Mary Kay Miller. Nice to see you. Yes, good point, Deacon Patrick. He brings up a really good point. The Delphic method is also a technique for identifying the adversaries to the agenda. Anyone who stands up and stands out knows they're going to be, or maybe they don't, you should, that you're going to be a person of interest to the folks who want to forward the agenda. And when I talk to Luke Burgess about this, author of Wanting, you'll learn a lot more about how Girardian mimetic desire pushes all this, because people naturally, we want to fit in. We don't want to stand out. We don't want to complain to the person who can change it, because then they may tell someone and they may say bad things about us behind our back. You have to say, chuck all that. You may have heard of the Overton window. The Overton window is sort of a set of criteria, radical on both sides, all the way far left to far right, and it's a political tool for advisors to help politicians stay on the straight and narrow and not appear too crazy on either side. I think it's a tool of the devil for Catholics. I think you should just say, Overton window, be hanged, and just love Jesus Christ and get to know his teachings and share them with others, and then let the chips fall. Because the Overton window is all about external perception. And we're supposed to just let our light shine. Don't put a bushel basket over it. And if you're that concerned about gossip, you might consider Buddhism. It's a lot easier. Very good point. All right, Joe. That's Fagioli. Massimo Fagioli. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Love bombing, Delphi technique, used in the 70s. Yeah, like Est. There's a cult called Est by Werner Erhard. Now it's called the Forum, sometimes called the Landmark Forum. It's a cult. And it's kind of wrapped in one of these self-help things. They put on these bizarre, long seminars where they don't let you go to the bathroom. Awful. All right, let me expand out here again. I want to go a little bit longer tonight because we had that tech glitchy poo. Beans, there it is. Yeah, little prayer warriors, get on it for Marty Lincoln Reagan, still recovering from the Rona. You notice I've got a little residual cough going on too. Yeah, get those oxy numbers up. I get high 90s, I think are good. It definitely had its hooks in me as well. 3-day fever free, yay. Good. So I was talking earlier about, if you missed it, I'll repost it here. And that is Jerry Mander's book from the 70s. I found a pretty fine summary of it. Maybe I'll just send you the book and you can look up more info on it. I also sent over by link JFK to 9/11, Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. Jerry Mander. 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television, March 1st, 1978. Yep. A total departure from previous writing about television, this book is the first ever to advocate that the medium is not reformable. Its problems are inherent in the technology itself and are so dangerous to personal health and sanity, to the environment and to democratic processes, that TV ought to be eliminated forever. Weaving personal experiences through his TV industry through meticulous research, the author ranges widely over aspects of television that have rarely been examined and have never before joined together, allowing an entirely new, frightening image to emerge. The idea that all technologies are neutral, benign instruments that can be used well or badly is thrown open to profound doubt. Speaking of TV reform is, in the words of the author, as absurd as speaking of the reform of a technology such as guns. I'd love to know what he means by that. Kind of lost me in that line. However, it's a very thought-provoking book. This guy spent 15 years in the advertising business, master's degree in economics. He was called the Ralph Nader of advertising. In 1972, Mander founded the country's first nonprofit ad agency. You know, one of my very first interview subjects when I was in university as a cub reporter was Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader came to our university and gave a talk, and I found him to be a very stand-up guy. He had a bit of Bell's palsy, I recall, and I liked his talk, and he seemed very, very sincere in person. He was talking about how he got into being an advocate for consumers and talked about the writing of his book on the Corvair vehicle, unsafe at any speed. So there it is. Oh, he probably does. Max Beans, yeah. And that little Austin Ivory, same thing. The form is a mind control. Yep, I heard it's like cocaine. Makes one into an arsehole. Yeah, I've only had me and a very dear friend of mine were the sponsors of a young woman in Toronto in the Catholic Church. And she got into these landmark forums and spent thousands of dollars and just left the church because the boring old Eucharist couldn't compare with the excitement. And I get a little bit of this vibe, this kind of forum-y vibe. I don't know if this is spotting a media lie, but there's something a little bit off about Tony Robbins. That guy has superabundant somethingness about his affect, about his body language, about his... I can't put my finger on it. It's this annoyingly cocksure sales technique. And he basically, in Awaken the Giant Within, I think it's called, or Unlimited Power, Unlimited Potential, it's a warmed over 1980s, 90s version of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He didn't come up with this on his own. He adapted it from 3 or 4 generations ago. So there's always, do you guys have people like that where you go, I don't really trust that guy? I can't quite articulate why, but no. Yep. There it is. Michael, yeah, if Ralph were alive today, he would collaborate with JFK Jr. Yep. I think you mean RFK Jr., since JFK Jr. died in a plane crash, unless he didn't. Now, here's something that I don't understand. The QAnon theory that JFK faked his own death. I don't know what to think of it. To what end? So he could fight with Trump against the corruption? It was like 20 years ago. So I don't get that one. I don't get... yeah, he's a sad little guy. He needs Francis to survive. Max Beans. Okay. Still dealing with come and go symptoms of Rona. Yeah. Yeah, I would try nebulizing with hydrogen peroxide, and try that. Get a nebulizer with a mask. Don't get the full mask, and dilute. Start with 50-50 distilled water, and just get to the 3% hydrogen peroxide. It's very safe. It's quite effective. It helped me a lot to clear out my lungs. Do it a couple times a day. Yes, RFK Jr., very good. Yeah, who are the people you don't quite trust out there? Let me know. That'd be great. Deacon Patrick, when I was a boy, my best friend got sucked into Est. Werner and his wife were just starting out in Marin County, right? All things happen in Marin County. And we're making money selling Shackley products and encyclopedias. They'd pick up my friend in her Plymouth and start going door to door all day. I met Werner. I thought I'd shaken hands with a snake. Did he pronounce it Werner or Werner? It's kooky. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of people in the COVID fight I have questions about. Things I'm not sure. There's a lot of new agey, creepy, occultic groups that have glommed onto this freedom fight. One called the Divine Knowledge Academy. Heard of this? There's another guy called Sasha Stone, who's from, I don't know, he looks like the rock singer Fer from the Mexican group Maná. Yeah, so not all freedom fighters are created equal. Werner, okay, yeah, I didn't want to sound Aryan. Funny. I'm a 90s kid, so there aren't too many kids that I do trust. Yeah, it makes sense. Now, if you read Thomas, is it Thomas Levy? Levy is the guy on this stuff here. Virus. Not iris, virus. Come on, Patrick. Come on now. Yeah, Rapid Virus Recovery, No Need to Live in Fear by Dr. Thomas Levy. He says it really doesn't matter. You can use perfectly safe. He recommends just non-diluted 3% that you can get from Walmart or your grocery store or pharmacy. You can use the food grade. It's more strong. It's strong. More strong. It's stronger. This is an easy read, by the way. And you'll know if it's a little too intense. Your eyes will kind of burn a little bit with the steam. It's not going to hurt you. I sneezed a lot. That's how I knew it was a little too concentrated. I just dialed it back and added some more distilled water. That was fine. It felt good. Yes, there it is. Do share. Does anyone have a resource to support a pope saying he couldn't add St. Joseph to a prayer in the Mass because he was just the pope? No, I've never heard of that, Debbie. Has anyone heard of this? A pope saying he couldn't add St. Joseph to the prayer because he was just the pope? Because the shape of the Mass is done under the authority of the sovereign pontiff, as we see in the Mass of St. Pius V. Isn't it interesting how predictable people like Don Lemonhead or Little Brian Stelter, a guy I like to watch if you want to grow in media lie spotting, is Mark Dice. You know Mark Dice's stuff? That's all I'm going to say. Mark Dice he pretty much ruined Brian Stelter's career. He calls him Little Brian. And he does a wickedly funny impersonation of him. You can't see Brian Stelter on screen without thinking about Mark's brutally funny parody. Here it is. Here's a compilation. You're welcome in advance. There it is. Come on now. It's rather disturbing about the recent canonization process for sainthood. Can we trust that those the church has determined are saints in this past 50 years are actually saints? I don't know the answer to that. Peter Kuznowski has a book on the infallibility level of papal canonizations. I was always taught that it's the common teaching of the church that when a pope pronounces a saint in heaven, it is infallibly true that they are in heaven. However, I do have questions about that because it seems to be a fast-track thing, and that started under John Paul II. It's just blitzed under Francis. It bothered me that Francis canonized John the 23rd and John Paul II in the same ceremony. Remember that? Talk about splitting your audience, your tribe. Pure Peronist control move to divide the church, to maybe create a clash between one generation over the end of the next. John the 23rd had a lot of traditionalist supporters because his Journey of a Soul, I think it's called, very, very traditional man. On the other hand, he blew open the doors of the church. John Paul II was paradoxically a post-Vatican II pope, but who had a more conservative handle on it, at least the way he did or tried to implement the norms of the council. Now it seems like with John Paul I being added to the canonization backlist, it seems the modernists in Rome are trying to canonize the council itself. I mean, venerable only? We don't even have a blessed Pius XII? Pio Nono? He's not canonized yet? Leo XIII, who wrote 11 encyclicals on the Rosary, who gave us all this beautiful glory? Nope, I don't even think he's servant of God. But John Paul I, who reigned for 33 days, he's going to be servant of God. Bishop Sheen? He's gone. You can't canonize that guy. Can't even beatify him, despite, through his intercession, the dead being raised. We've already covered that, I think. Yeah, JP2 deserved his own special canonization ceremony. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, John Paul II began that since, not since, but under Mother Teresa. I think that's when the trouble started. Yeah, looking forward to that, Carl Strello. Have all the popes been Freemasons since Leo the Sixth? I don't think so. I don't think they have all been Freemasons. I don't know. It's hard to determine who was and who wasn't a Freemason. You have to kind of look at the evidence. John McManus gets into this in his book and interview with me called The Church, The Deep Church Revealed. The pronouncement of saints. Brock says, if you were king for a day and your one request is the consecration of Russia, which pope, the 16th or Francis, do you ask to accomplish this task? This is what your pilot is thinking about as he lands the plane. Well, the evidence is strong that the real pope is Benedict XVI, so that would be that. Yeah. I do not know. I do not have an opinion on Fatima, on the consecration. John Paul II famously said that the March 25th, 1984 consecration that included Russia satisfied heaven. Father Nicholas Gruner, some other people, I think Father Paul Kramer, say no, heaven was not satisfied, that there's a conspiracy, that there was a swap out, there was a changeling, that the later Sister Lucia is not the real one. I don't know what to tell you. That the third secret is third secret 2.0. That the white hatted or white garbed bishop was Francis, was JP. Who knows? I don't know anything about that, and I don't know how to find the truth about what the third secret is or is not, and whether or not the consecrations were done. Maybe you could say that it was partly done. It was done in 1984, and 5 years later, in '89, the curtain fell and the whole thing, collapsed. I'll say this. We have to kind of turn to the end now. I don't believe all of the media hype against Vladimir Putin and Russia. I don't. I don't think we should go to war with Russia over Ukraine either. That's not something I think the United States should get involved in. A lot of Putin's speeches, I find myself going, yeah, that sounds really based. Yes. So, now, has Russia converted? I don't think Russia has converted. I think some latent secular Russians have embraced Orthodoxy, Russian Orthodoxy in particular. I don't see a big Catholic evangelical revival in Russia. And that seems to be the common meaning, at least on the surface, of Russia will be converted. Pray for the conversion of Russia. So that's a big fat, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, Pope and Anti-Pope. I think you'll like the I think you'll like the video. Carl, don't feel guilty. There's nothing wrong with wondering if Pope Paul VI is a saint. If half the things laid out by John McManus in his book are true, that then Cardinal Giovanni Montini had a correspondence with Saul Alinsky, brought him to Italy, taught his priests all this activist nonsense, all of this atheist, communistic Satan tactics. Paul VI did that when he was the Cardinal Archbishop in northern Italy. Paul VI did a lot of terrible things to the church. I don't want to dominate the whole show with that, but yeah, there are questions. There are questions. Why was Humana Vitae written so poorly? 31 paragraphs? Enovid, the first birth control pill, was approved by the FDA in 1960. The commission began under John the 23rd in 1959. Vatican II has a very tentative note, and I think it's a footnote of Gaudium et Spes number 48. That's it. And after July 25th, 1968, Paul VI wrote no more encyclicals. He reigned for 10 more years. Never wrote another encyclical. He wrote an apostolic exhortation, a shorter one, called Evangelii Nunciandi in 1975, but that's it. He let tens of thousands of Catholics, especially priests and nuns, just leave the church. And all the sexual abuse, the homosexual predator cases now that we're dealing with, they're all under John. Most of them are under Paul VI. It peaked in the 60s and 70s, decades ago, and it began to drop when St. John Paul II was elected. So yeah, and by the way, he's the only pontiff to ever go into writing denying that he's a homosexual. You guys have to see the Masonic, I'll just put that up here, the Masonic portrait. If you haven't seen this, you have to. He was very pleased with it. Here we go. Please enjoy. If you click on it, you can raise up, you can zoom in on the head at the bottom. At the very bottom, there's a man holding what looks like a dagger, and he's got a skull. He looks like an AI bot, and he looks infuriated, and he's got red sort of demon eyes. And that's Paul VI himself, and he loved it. The world really goes to hell when the church abandons their mission. Yeah, it does. The Catholic Church is keeping the world together. It's the spiritual epoxy of that, the world. Lorraine says there had to be an explanation from Our Lady concerning the third secret, since she explained the other two. So why not for the third? Don't know, Lorraine. Excellent question. Yeah, Joe, you can't. That thing is just creepy all the way through. Michael says it's like they took his pen away in retribution for writing that encyclical. Who knows who his puppet masters were? He forbade any condemnation of communism in the documents of the Second Vatican Council. He sidelined and humiliated Cardinal Ottaviani Awful. Yeah. Terrible. So the good thing is there are media lies, but there are also truth tellers and truth seekers. And truth has a ring to it. You can tell truth by the uncomplicated nature of it. That the person has either, it's cost him to tell the truth. He's been banned or shunted or isolated or whatever. Or he's not gaining any mammon for selling his wares, offering his message, however you want to put it. I think Mark Dice is a good start. He's very funny, does a media. I'm trying to actually get him on the show, Mark Dice. Also, actress Evangeline Lilly. Turns out she's from Alberta. She was at the RFK speech in Washington last week and said some evil, disgusting things about thinking that people have bodily autonomy and that tyranny is not a great thing. She's in one of these Marvel movies. I don't know much about her career. But I did contact her media agent, Deb Shapiro. So hopefully, because I think they're going to just attack her and ban her from Hollywood altogether. Look at the Neil Young thing, Spotify. Too funny. So that's that. Enjoy the Coffin Report. You're going to love the upcoming Transform You. Ryder Carroll wrote the Bullet Journal. It's a movement. It's a hashtag. Just look up Bujo, Bullet Journal. It's a way to order your life, track your past, and design your future. Fantastic. Can't believe I reached out to him and he said yes. So thank you, Joe. Have a great week, all. Lorraine, other Joe, Michael, Deirdre, keep up the reading. I'd love to do, maybe we can do this on side. We can do a Red Pill Book Club. How does that sound? One book a month. It's 12 books a year. Carol, Carl, Brock, Debbie, all y'all, Deacon Patrick. It's been a pleasure once again and an honor. God bless you, Marty. Hope you're feeling better. Take care, Deacon Patrico. Thanks, Brock. Let's see here. Hope everyone, if you're kind of ill with the Corona doom, hope you feel better. Yeah. Is this going to work here? Yowza. Where is this thing? Okay, I'm going to... Yes, fantastic. All learning curve. Thanks for your patience. Hey, Emily, Auntie M. We're watching you. Maybe you're Big Brother. Maybe Big Brother's a really big sister. Em, I owe you a video, and I'm going to be making it now that I feel a little better. Maybe I'll do a day in the life of Patrick Coffin and send it over. Oh, Mark is smiling. Oh, I thought you meant that you thought that I wasn't still on the air live. Good. Hello, Mark. This is for you, Mark. Just going to pull my finger just like that. There. Don't try this at home. I'm a trained professional. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about Red Pill books. That'd be fun. All right. God bless everyone. And take care. Be aware. Don't stare. Be a saint. What else is there?